Okay, I think we're ready to begin. Good morning, everyone. Again, thank you for joining today. Just so that everyone is aware, this webinar is being recorded and we will be able to provide a copy of the recording or the slides afterwards. So my name is Vin Johal. I'm the Transitions Coordinator at Xero, and I'm very passionate about digital transformation. So I was extremely pleased to hear that I'll be part of this webinar. Presenting today, we have Jamie Chamberlain, who's part of our team here at Xero. Jamie's actually worked in the IT sector for over 10 years, and he's specializing in new business here at Xero. He's also worked with a wide variety of clients and sectors, including finance, legal, recruitment, architectural, media, and not-for-profit. So you can imagine Jamie brings a wealth of experience to the team here and is fairly knowledgeable about the subject matter today. And like me, Jamie also has a real passion for digital transformation. He loves to see everyone take advantage of the opportunities that digital transformation can bring. And he also recognizes that digital transformation is a real key enabler to success in the modern world. Digital transformation allows you to do things simply you could not have done in the past, and not just in the workplace, but also at home. And businesses have often needed to transform in the way that they service their customers in the face of new challenges. Take, for example, during the pandemic, you saw pubs, for example, pivoting their business model into providing sanitizers because they couldn't provide alcohol or they were shut during the time. So transformation takes place in many industries and has many facets. And the same is true for many companies who perhaps need to change the way they use technology in the office or at home, certainly as business requirements change, and sometimes, more often than not, at the drop of a hat. So digital transformation itself is not necessarily a fixed target, but a journey. And as new technologies emerge, greater enhancements in the way we collaborate and communicate can bring greater productivity benefits for businesses of all types. And when you ask what digital transformation is, you know, during the pandemic, again, as an example, um, you can imagine that not having access to Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, where you can video call a relative without having to wait the full 2 years to actually see them, that was a complete game changer for a lot of people, and it allowed everyone to manage through that very, very difficult period. So technology and how it's evolved through the globe digitally, we're able to take advantage and even spend more time with our loved ones during tough times. So you can see how digital transformation is shaping the way we live our lives and how we communicate with friends, family, but also our customers and our suppliers. So with that, I'd like to welcome Jamie and hand over to you. Welcome, Jamie. Um, Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you ever so much, Vin. And thank you everybody for joining us on the webinar this morning. Good morning to you all. Hope you're doing well on the Wednesdays, hump day. But no, Vin is right, and rightly saying that digital transformation is shaping the world that we live in at the moment, both at home and in the workplace. And like you mentioned with the pandemic, I think a lot of us would agree that we would have been lost without technologies such as Facebook Messenger, as much as Facebook does annoy us at times. And me myself, I'm not a big fan of it. By having Messenger and WhatsApp and stuff, I was able to communicate with my loved ones over the pandemic who spread across the UK, which was massive for us. It's so we would truly be lost without transforming digitally across the globe, both in the workplace and at home. So today's agenda, we're going to cover a couple of things. So we're going to go through the starting point of digital transformation, how that would look for your organisation, and what sort of things to bear in mind when you start planning that initial phase. And we're going to look at some of the core components of digital transformation. We're going to talk about existing technology stacks as well, so how you can utilize the technology you already have in place and bring the best out of that technology itself. We're going to look at how you can manage that plan with its ever evolving change, and how plans do change at a drop of a hat for businesses. And then finally, we're going to cover the three spheres of digital transformation, followed by a quick Q&A session towards the end. As Vin mentioned, we will make the slides and the recording available to anybody who'd like a copy at the end, and I think my colleague will be sending out thank you emails with the links readily available for you. So again, thank you ever so much for joining us, and we'll kickstart the full presentation. So the starting point, a lot of people that I speak to, when I talk about digital transformation and how important it is in the modern world, people ask why. Why should we transform? Why do we need to transform? Well, as technology evolves and the world we live in changes day by day, so should you to keep up with the competition that you have. The world around us changes in ways that we never thought possible in the previous decade, from having to work from home due to the coronavirus pandemic, due to global energy prices skyrocketing with recent wars and conflicts in other countries. And all of these are reasons to change in order to keep thriving as a company. And one of the examples, one of the core examples of digital transformation I could give you today is you cast yourselves back 20 years ago and you look at taxi firms. What would be the process behind you guys booking a taxi to get yourselves from point A to point B? Well, you'd have to pick up a phone. You'd have to speak to a lovely person in the office who you'd give them your details of where you need to be picked up from, where you're going to, and your name, etc. That then information would be passed manually by a human over to another human, a driver, who would take them details and say whether he's available, what sort of time frame, how long it'll take him to get there, etc. That information is then passed back to the person in the office, and then again that is relayed on to the consumer, the customer. A very heavy process, very time consuming process, and the best example of digital transformation is Uber in this case. You know, Uber these days, how simple is it to book a taxi, guys? We've all got that lovely little app on our phone where we can click it. Location services are active, it pinpoints your exact location. You press book, you get the confirmation, you get the time of when you're going to be picked up. So that is a prime example of digital transformation and how it's benefited that organization itself. Because when you look at taxi firms in the modern age, if you know, just about every taxi firm on the market at the moment has some form of electronic app or electronic booking system, even if it's getting through to an automated telephone service, and they keep a track of your telephone number and they find out your position via your landline, or you know, you've got previous bookings that they can refer back to based on your telephone number and you as a customer. All these are automated. All of these are how these businesses have transformed digitally over the time that they've been going. And you'll notice that taxi firms that don't take on this technology and still operate in the previous way of dealing with people, which, don't get me wrong, we all love speaking to a person, but when you want to cut out that time, when you want to save money, and when you want to keep thriving as a company, you need to change yourselves to keep up with the competition there. So it may seem a daunting task to kickstart a digital transformation strategy, and you may be asking yourself, why should you go through so much upheaval just to change? Well, digital transformation is not actually being driven forward by tech giants such as Google or Amazon or Microsoft or even MSPs such as ourselves. It's actually being driven by the end users and the customers of that technology. And what you need to remember and bear in mind at all times is these customers are potentially your competitors. So while they're taking advantage of all this technology and the best tech on the market and reaping the rewards from that by liaising with more customers per day, you know, improving that revenue stream and profitability, you're falling short of your competition. So the key is don't fall short of the competition simply due to being cautious of change. Embrace that change. Keep attracting new customers to your business through new methods and new technologies available on the market there. And one of the fundamental questions that you need to ask yourselves when starting to build that digital transformation strategy is, what are you hoping to achieve from this transformation? You know, what do you stand for as an organization, and what are you trying to drive forward? What are your goals? And examples of this, it could be, for example, a mental health charity. They may be hoping to increase the number of people they tend to each year in terms of patients. Historically, this business see people face to face, and they are hoping to double the amount of people they see per annum. So what we could do in this case, and what they could do, is they could review how they did actually deliver that service and see if it's maybe a viable offering to implement a online consultation service, such as what we're all on today, guys. Teams is a wonderful tool. I'm sure we'd all agree during the pandemic we would have been lost without Teams or Zoom, etc., video conferencing. So we could look at just implementing a simple bit of technology such as Teams, which would allow them to see more people per day and carry their service forward and do what they stand for as a business in the working world. On the flip side, perhaps you're an architectural studio or accountancy firm and you want to break into potentially new locations or new markets. But what do you need to break into a new market? Well, let's take an architectural studio as an example here, guys. Let's say you're based in central London and you feel that you've conquered what you can conquer in the region that you're in, and you want to branch out abroad. And let's just say Paris, for example. What do you need to get from A to B? What do you need to accomplish that achievement? Well, first of all, you need to save money or you need to earn more money to put towards employing new staff, potentially an office space over in the city you're looking to branch into. And so what we could do and what you can do to save some money is streamline your internal processes where possible through means of technology in order to enhance productivity. Again, enhanced productivity leads to additional revenue streams and additional profitability. Or you could look at removing some internal hardware as an example. If they operate on-premise servers at the moment, we could look at migrating them into a cloud-based environment to, first of all, save on energy costs. You know, we've all had the bills through recently, and we've all had a bit of a shock on how much our energy is going to cost in the next 6 to 12 months. So by removing that physical server, you're saving, you know, a good chunk of money per day or per month, and that can be offset to what you're looking to accomplish as additional plan for the business by opening that office in Paris and taking over the you know, the French nation with your architectural practice. So what I'm trying to get at here is all are viable options. Every transformation is purely driven by the customer. It's driven by you guys. We're not in control of how you transform. We can only guide you based on your mission and your objectives as a business. So other considerations to look at and take into account when you start building that initial phase. So what would we recommend that you do to begin with? Well, we would start by reviewing your overall business objective. So look at things like, why do you exist? What do you provide as a service or a product? Who is your target market? And what is it you stand for or as an organization, and the overall goals of the stakeholders within your business? And these are just some of the overall elements to consider when you start building that initial digital transformation journey. So we've spoken about components of digital transformation, and one can argue that components are endless. You know, there are many things to consider when you look at digital transformation and when you start building that strategy. But what I've placed here is 6 core things to bear in the back of your mind, 6 core components that you need to consider when you start building that initial plan. So innovation, how can you innovate your business? How can you stand out from the crowd? How can you be different in a positive way against your competition to stand out and attract them new customers? Collaboration. One of the key features here is how can you improve collaboration and communication through means of digital transformation and new technologies? How can you enhance that workforce communicating with each other across departments or across different sites? You know, how can you communicate better and faster with your customers? Again, improving the amount of products that you sell, increase the amount of products you sell, sorry, improving that end user customer experience. Touching on experience, another point there that's very important is how does that customer find the experience when dealing with your organization, whether that would be electronically on the website, whether it's dealing with your telephony system, automated system, or whether it's dealing with you with an actual member of staff, customer relations advisor, etc. It's how you can provide that good customer experience. But not only that, the other experience, which is most important as well, is the experience of your end users, your staff, and how happy they are with the systems, how easy it is they find carrying out their daily tasks. And we all know that a happy employee is a productive employee. So it's definitely important to bear the experience of both the end users of your business and your customers in mind. Infrastructure modernization. Again, always important to keep the infrastructure as modernized as possible. In light of cybersecurity and the ransomware attacks out there on the market, that's just one reason to keep the infrastructure as modernized as possible. The other element is to make sure that it's always remaining streamlined, to make sure it's always enhanced as much as possible, and you're getting the best out of the tech that you're operating at all times. That kind of feeds on to operational excellence. So by having a modernized infrastructure, you're generally promoting operational excellence by streamlining internal systems and processes, enhancing productivity across the board, and in turn generating additional revenue streams or improving on the existing revenue streams coming into the business by turning out more work per day. And then finally, information and insights, how you can use information and future insights of your business via big data to make smart decisions driven purely by the data that you have in front of you in real time, which is a most important feature when you're looking at digital transformation and where you're looking to be in the next 3 to 5 years ahead as an organization. Touching on existing technology stacks, so a lot of people on the call today, you're well aware of Microsoft 365 or you utilize it in some form at the moment, but many companies are not aware that such technologies as Microsoft 365 can actually be built on to achieve parts of your digital transformation journey. So as an example here, certain licenses with Microsoft 365, it provides you access to advanced features such as Microsoft Power Apps, Microsoft Power Automate, and Power BI, which if used in the right way, in the right manner, can actually play a huge part in your transformation. And an example of this is one of my previous clients. They're a 40-man accountancy firm, and one of their core goals during the coronavirus pandemic was to save money in order to not make redundancies, in order to keep going as a business, keep the revenue coming in, keep the wages going out, keep the staff happy. So what they needed to do was save money where possible. So they cut back on almost every element of the company where possible. Obviously, everybody was working from home at that time, but they were planning ahead from when the coronavirus pandemic was coming to a close, so around about this time. And they were looking at how they can save costs in terms of the office let that they have. So we actually sat with them and we spoke to them about the capabilities of Microsoft 365, especially in the Power App space itself. And we actually sat with them and built them a desk booking app. And with this, they were able to go out and find a much smaller office. And they ended up opting for a small 5-man hub. How did they manage that? How did they manage a full 40-man office with just a 5-man business? Well, with the desk booking app, they could book a desk out for the day or part of the day. The other members of staff could actively see who had taken a desk for that day, what time they were due to log out, and when that desk would next become available. They could book well in advance if they needed to, or they could book on the day if there was a desk available. But by having that technology, which is a very minor change that we incorporated for them, we just built on a piece of technology which was already existing within the business. We just gave them an additional functionality, which allowed them to save around about £1,500 a month in terms of office let. So it's little things like that's important to organizations. You may be able to achieve your digital transformation strategy with minimal changes. So the key here is to always review the current technology stack, as you may already have what you need. You may just not know that you've got it there in place already. Another issue that I come across quite often when having these conversations about taking digital transformation plans forward. So a lot of companies, or most companies these days, have some form of plan drafted, or they have an idea in the back of their head of what they would like to do to transform themselves digitally. But by the time they actually get around to executing the plan or just part of the plan, something either changes within the business itself, which means that plan has to go in a different direction, or technology evolves and a new piece of technology is available, which kind of overwrites what was in the previous plan. So it's crucial, and we feel it's so important to have at least one person purely dedicated to monitoring and delivering that successful digital transformation strategy. And this can be somebody internal within your business. We recommend somebody in the operational or IT division if you have one, and purely because these departments tend to have a holistic view of the organization. They can see everything that's going on in the company, and that's so important to have, is somebody who has relations with the majority of the business, can look at it from a holistic view and see what is needed to improve and reach that next stage. But you can also get an independent consultant, or indeed talk to your managed service provider today if you're interested in finding out how you can transform your business digitally, and get them to assign somebody to your account to help you take that plan forward. Another reason for that is disruption to organizations. So a lot of people say to me, we want to change, we have the plan to change, but we're trying to find the right time to do so. So having that change manager or that digital transformation specialist, they'll be able to work on a higher level with the board and the stakeholders to find where they can actually afford slight downtime or slight changes and different ways of working, where they can go through testing phases. So definitely have somebody or a team dedicated to doing this task for you. And finally, guys, we're going to touch on the 3 spheres of digital transformation and things to definitely bear in the back of your mind if you're at the stage of starting to build that initial plan. So while we can argue that components of digital transformation are numerous or endless, should we say, we are highlighting 3 most important spheres to always bear in the back of your mind, which will help you take that digital transformation to the next stage itself. So big data, we touched on this in the previous slide, but making smarter decisions driven purely by data itself. But not only that, but also looking on how you can protect that data at all times, because data these days is the new gold. It really is. It's invaluable to businesses. And once you leak data or lose data, that could be the end of that organization. But look at cloud storage, review your cybersecurity policies, ensure you're always operating at compliance standards, and use that data that you have to hand to make data-driven smart decisions to take your company to the next phase of its evolution. Cloud. So obviously we always touch on cloud. Cloud is a massive part of any digital transformation strategy. So we always encourage to review relevant cloud options for both your software and your hardware environments, with the aim of just enhancing accessibility, enhancing scalability, and also enhancing productivity across your workforce, which we feel is 3 core functions of any cloud solution. It has to improve, it has to be scalable upon demand, it has to be highly accessible, and it has to provide that increased level of productivity for your teams. Otherwise, you're investing in something that's just not worthwhile. And then finally, Internet of Things. So deriving data-driven insights from IoT to help better manage the overall business, increase, again, productivity and efficiency of the operation, create new business models and revenue streams, and easily and seamlessly connect the business to the digital world, to your customers and to your partners that helps you take your business forward as well. So always bear these 3 spheres of digital transformation in the back of your mind at all times, as without these, you will not execute a successful business transformation strategy. But that is everything in terms of the slides today on digital transformation. We're now reaching the Q&A session. So if anybody has any questions based on the slides today, or any questions around your personal digital transformation and what we would recommend, please do fire them in the chat there, and me and the team will be happy to answer them the best we can. Thank you ever so much.
Thank you, Jamie. That was very informative. I loved the desk booking app. I think that's, such a great, brilliant concept to have for any business that is thinking about certainly scaling down the size of their actual offices and saving rent. So there's massive savings and opportunity there, I would have thought. I'm seeing one question here, which has just come in from Chris. What would you recommend to look at first when undertaking a digital transformation?
Well, thank you ever so much, Chris. Really good question as well, to be honest with you, because there isn't one answer that fits all. There isn't a best fit answer that, not one size fits all in this scenario. What we would recommend in this case is, again, review the current technologies that you have in place at the moment, but alongside of this, review the overall business objectives. So find out where you're looking to be in the years ahead. So, and this could be 12 months down the line, 2, 3, 5 years. It could be, what are you going to be doing in the next decade? I mean, I wouldn't plan that far ahead myself because plans do change, as we mentioned in the slides. But we would like to review everything that you've got going on in the company, what your aims are as a business, what you stand for as a company. How we can improve your service delivery, how we can improve productivity in revenue streams and profitability there. So all of these plans are formed by in-depth conversations between yourselves and a specialist in digital transformation. And as I mentioned, this could be somebody in your existing MSP, it could be an independent consultant, whatever it may be of your choice. But you need to have these open, honest conversations of what your goals are individually as stakeholders in the company, what your mission is, and also review the current technology stack of where a specialist would be able to recommend and guide you in the best route moving forward.
Thank you, Jamie. There's another question here. What about a business who operates solely online? Have they already achieved full transformation?
Again, really good question. The answer, I suppose, depends on your business itself. I mean, yes, an online business, they are very digital. They're operating fully digitally at the moment, and they communicate with their customers or clients digitally on the website or so on and so forth. But then I would also look at their internal operation. So yes, you're solely online. How are you hosted online? You know, do you have servers on site at the moment? Do you have very human heavy tasks to accomplish? Do you have a human monitoring your stock levels rather than artificial intelligence linked to an e-commerce website, for example? So even though you may think or feel that you've achieved full digital transformation, believe me, there's always an extra step that you can take to keep yourselves above the competition there. And like I say, this online business, whatever you are, you may have you may be selling a product online, you may have an e-commerce website. Is that e-commerce also linked to a stocking system or software that's monitoring live stock? If not, again, that's an additional step we could take, and you can cut out that human interaction in the middle there and potentially save time and money at the same time.
Thank you, Jamie. Another question here from Minette. Do you have any idea how much it will cost to go through a transformation?
Ooh, really good question. Really good question. I am in sales myself, so I do like talking numbers, guys. But I couldn't put a figure to it because, as I mentioned in the slides there, you know, is you to achieve your digital transformation and what is right for your company specifically may just be to implement. Going back to the mental health charity who wants to see more people, they may just need to implement a video conferencing service and also maybe build a chat bot on the website to book your video conference consultation with a mental health advisor, for example. So in that sense there, you're doing a very minimal change, but it's having a very positive impact on what you wanted to achieve as a company. Failing that, you may be a business that's been going for 20 years, but you're well used to the paper method. You do everything by paper. You just feel safe having it on paper. Well, again, we could look to review that. We could look to streamline your systems and processes, look to implement a CRM system. The possibilities are endless. So the answer to your question, Minette, and thank you ever so much for that, is no, there's not a cost that we could put forward for a full transformation. We are happy to speak to anybody who has any further questions on how you can transform. And by all means, if you wanted to take a transformation, we could price up an ongoing project built over a course of time, and we could take that forward for your organization. But this is solely driven by you guys. It's solely driven by you as organizations. We can only guide you through what is available on the market. It's down to you to tell us where you're looking to be. So there isn't a cost that I could put to you at this stage, but again, more than happy to have an in-depth conversation with anybody who would want to talk about digital transformation, how we could help in that sense.
Thank you, Jamie. And we note that your email address is available on the screen there, should anyone wish to contact you. And I'm conscious that we've only got a couple of minutes left, literally, probably only one or two. The final question here, perhaps I can chime in with this one as well, is Devon asks, automation is one of the champions of digitization, which leads to a reduced human capital requirement. Should companies be held accountable for this loss? And if so, what systems should be in place to reduce or alleviate this effect? My instant thought on that is, in actual fact, digital transformation frees up human capital to concentrate on more important work and contributing to the revenue or productivity of the business, because they're now freed up away from menial or manual tasks because everything is automated. What are your thoughts on that?
I fully agree with you, Vin. You shouldn't be looking at the situation of you're getting rid of end users, you're getting rid of your staff because automation is taken over. What you need to do is repurpose that staff to get the best out of them. Like you mentioned, Vin, it's not about taking jobs away from people through means of technology. It's how that you can help them work smarter and faster through means of tech itself. In order, all in the vision of bettering the company. So no,
Absolutely.
fully agree with you, Vin.
100%. Okay, looks like Glenn has just popped in a quick question there. Hopefully we can answer that in time.
Yeah.
How do you get people that are caught up in their old processes and their past culture to buy in and join the transformation journey?
That is a very good question. And this is actually one of the main difficulties that I personally come across when I'm talking to stakeholders. Being in new business, I often speak to middle level to high level managers. So operation managers are a good example here. Operation managers have got plan after plan after plan to streamline workforces, to make the whole operation a lot faster, to generate more revenue, etc., and to maintain order across the business as well. And what difficulty they have is getting the stakeholders to change their minds and methods of thinking. Also, another one of this is the end users there. So you may have members of staff that's been working with you for 5 or 10 years, and they've been on one system. They know it inside out. I suppose it's breaking that stigma of change is a bad thing. Nobody likes change. This is an honest opinion. I personally, I'm an ambassador of change. Personally, if it's put on me at a drop of a hat, I don't like it, but I know it's all for the benefit of the business. It's all in aid of moving forward with the times that we're in at the moment. And I suppose it's having somebody like myself with you also pitching the benefits of digital transformation, new technologies, new processes and ways of working, and having somebody champion that with you and put that argue forward against the staff and the stakeholders. It all depends on the people that is arguing with you. But again, this is one of the most difficult scenarios of digital transformation, is getting everybody on board with this change and upheaval. But I'll just lean on the fact that you need a digital transformation manager. You need a change manager who can put this in a nice phase. You don't want to change at a busy time of the organization. If you're busy, if you're an events company, for example, and your events run from April till October, the last time you want to be changing is during that period. So you would look at maybe implementing a new system at Christmas time, where people's got some relaxing time to sit there, play about, test and configure and get the system working as it should. So there's many different ways of achieving what you mentioned, of breaking that stigma and getting people to adapt to that change. I would say just get other people to champion it with you. People like us who are ambassadors of technology, get us on a call with yourselves and the people who's not so keen on that change, and let's champion it together and break that stigma.
Thank you, Jamie. Much appreciated. I want to thank you and the organisers for giving us this very, very informative webinar. I hope that everyone found value in the information shared. Feel free to contact Jamie should you wish, and we'll wish you all a wonderful day as you start your digital journey. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody. Have a good day.